From Julio Cruz and Gaylord Perry to Alvin Davis and Harold Reynolds to father and son back to back bombs. From Junior J, Joey, and Edgar with Randy, A Rod, Dan, and the Sheriff to Ichiro Moyer and Mikey C to King Felix, Kyle Cruz, and Cano to the present with Julio, Gilbert, Kirby, and Cal. I don't believe it. It just continues. My, oh my. It's another sports podcast. My, oh my. We have record breaking contracts. We have the Eagles soaring. We have the Seahawks getting their wings clipped mid air. We got the Yankees crying. We got the Eagles talking shit. Seattle searching for a quarterback. But y'all know, my oh my, it's another sports podcast. Shout out to indie super producer down there in Nashville, Tennessee. Vaden Podcast Services. It's Vaden Podcast Services. They make this show come to life. Shout out to all of the homies in the live chat. We took it a few hours late tonight because we wanted to see our Seahawks get bullied, pushed around, and getting their asses generally kicked on a national audience. But without further ado, the greatest co-host a dude could ask for, the notorious RG, floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee.
The rain on the top was short like leprechauns. As I crush so-called Willie thugs and Rapidaws. Get in that ass kick fast like Ramadan. It's that rap phenomenon Don Dada. Fuck Papa. You got to call me Francis MH. White intake like totes. Keep iron, baby. Whoo. Shout out to the notorious B.I.G. Was all good about a week ago if you in Seahawk Nation. Hold on. My something about these lights is just a little too bright on Sunday night. Painful.
We'll we'll
Painful.
get some glasses on, some sunglasses on for next week, dude.
Man, what a great football Sunday. Unless you are a member of Ty Talks 24's household, it's about to be a weird 7 days for you. Not only did y'all choke tonight, you gonna also choke on Saturday when Tennessee Volunteers come in and officially dig Ryan Day his grave right inside of Ohio Stadium. Then the Seahawks might get their wings clipped again, flying too close to the sun by the Minnesota Vikings, baby. Meanwhile, Philadelphia Eagles, all we doing is rolling, dog. All we doing is rolling. 12-2, tied for first place in the division. Just man, just a painful night for you, dog. Painful night. Go on ahead and tell the people how you feel.
Well, for starters, the team got shell shocked in the beginning. That's what was crazy, man. Is they in it? I sent RG a text during the game, and it was a picture of Debo from Friday because that's what they were doing. That's my bike. That's my chain. It wasn't necessarily creative. It wasn't the high flying aerial attack that the NFL offices in New York love so much. It was take it right down your throats. Two consecutive run heavy drives that really put the Seahawks in a bad position. We start coming back. Geno Smith, he's like 9 for 9 or 10 for 10, and then throws a pick in the end zone. And that's just emblematic of the freaking season right now. I mean, I say it all the time, but there's champion contenders and there's playoff contenders. And then I think I need to make another level RG where we're playoff contenders, but are we really? And that's probably where the Seahawks are.
Your man Tay Williams said Gino is a dollar store Dak, and Dak is already a dollar store Tyrod Taylor. Oh man, shout out to everybody rocking with us live in the chat, man. It was unfortunate to see Gino get hurt the way he did. It looked like there were a couple injuries like that took place over football this week. That hip drop tackle and guys just getting rolled up on. We do want to send well wishes to the player from the Miami Dolphins who had to get carted out today with oxygen and EKG machine. That's never a good look. And I still haven't heard any reports on whether or not he's doing well. But we'll get back to roasting each other about our particular teams. I love Gino, but he's terrible sometimes for Mariners lifer. The resurgence in his career is something that I do applaud from the outside looking in. It's good to see that man doing well. I mean, I could take you back once upon a time where Eli Manning was sucking ass. So the Giants went for Geno Smith and they went with him for one start and just decided to let Eli keep sucking ass until he retired. So it's definitely good to see Geno still out competing. When he does compete, hey, there are some things he does well. You guys were on a winning streak prior to tonight. There's he had been playing decent enough to keep you guys ahead of the division. Just a bad way to see him have to go out. But it's that time of year where some teams just certain teams just win certain games, and it's not a complete indictment on your season. I just enjoy talking shit just because our producer likes to run his mouth about the Seahawks a lot. It's not that Ty doesn't too, but special dig in the back. Just because not only did his Seahawks lose, but he also watched Miami not make the college football playoffs, baby.
Well, I just want to get into something really quick, dude. This is going to be more of a give and go. I'm seeing Sunday evening media saying it's not on Gino, it's the O line, and I unequivocally say it's both because the O line has to do a better job of giving your quarterback time in the pocket. They have to do a better job of consistently opening up holes in the running game, and that's where I want to transition to your Eagles that quickly is because the Eagles are what a two-loss team right now, and they always invest heavily in the O line. Their Hall of Fame center retires, and you wouldn't know it if you just watched the game and didn't know the players' stories behind the scenes.
Cam Jurgens has done a great job filling in for the legend. At times he does make mistakes, but we all aren't perfect. Trying to learn our jobs as well too. Who I'm still glad is out there performing at a high level is future Hall of Famer Lane Johnson. Man, um, we need it for strong offensive line. We need them, especially with the way that our division is built. In order to compete, it really does start with the line. And it's glad to see all the dividends are finally starting to pay off from all those Georgia Bulldogs we drafted. Hey, we just have to be rolling. And, don't get me wrong, I'm not a everything is sunshine and berries. We again in the middle of the game were a Sirianni call and a Jalen mistake away from that game being completely different. You can't turn the ball over twice in 3 minutes, give Pittsburgh a short field, and just lucky enough our defense was only able to hold into a field goal, turning the ball over twice in those situations. But Najee Harris has a turnover that we turned into a touchdown, and the momentum just came back our way. Plus the long drive, man. I mean, we had the ball in the third quarter for 10 minutes. It just sucked the life completely out of the game. And, Pittsburgh was hustling to try to get things done. And our defense just happened to step up, man, right when we needed them to. So shout out to my Philadelphia Eagles, man. Got a chance to wrap up the division next week against the Redskins. I know that they're commanders, but they'll always be the Redskins. When the Native American communities are saying you should change that name back, enough of the woke shit. Change the name back. But yeah, man, time to get to work and wrap it in. Then we can take 2 weeks off and try to get guys healthy.
Hmm. Hmm. I mean, there's turning points in every ball game, and it's not always the very end of the game or the very end of the half. You never really know exactly when those critical moments are. But you said it, the Eagles fumble the ball on back-to-back possessions, basically kick return, and then the run by Jalen, and they hold them to 3 points over on two fumbles. That's the turning point of the ball game. Their defense gives it up, which wouldn't be the end of the world, considering where they gave the ball up at. You want to get that mad about it, but they stand up, get the job done in the critical moments. They get a huge win over in-state rival Pittsburgh, even though they play only every 4 years. Then you look at the Seahawks; they're trying to make a comeback. They get completely shell-shocked and bullied to start the game, and we throw a pick in the end zone. Those are the critical moments that don't always play out at the very end of the ball game that really end up being deciding factors over the 60 minutes, and the good teams take advantage in those critical moments, and the teams like the Seahawks, that they're all right. That's kind of who they are. They're all right right now. We'd like to get it better than this, but those teams don't make those plays in those critical moments.
Time, luck, and circumstance, man. This what everything in life breaks down to. Time, luck, and circumstance. Just a couple unlucky on a couple plays. Did not expect Green Bay to come out and just perform the way that they did. And that NFC North is going to have three tough outs in the
Mm-hmm.
playoffs. Going to have three tough outs in the playoffs. So still some football left to be played. Unfortunately, you no longer control your own destiny. And I only say that just because we've been able to beat teams we should beat on our schedule. Didn't fall victim to any of the lackluster shit that happened to the Eagles last year. The potential best friend drama was put to bed early by getting AJ the ball, and they both came out talking shit to the media today. But what I didn't like is AJ put us in that situation. Yeah, he was frustrated, but it's his words that started all of that. And you could try to blame Brandon Graham all you want. He just like us. He's podcast. He's going to call it how he sees it. But your words are what put us in that position. And to be able to come out, this is the first time in the winning streak that we passed the ball more than we ran the ball. And we had to today because Saquon got hurt. And even with Saquon being hurt, that guy still had a really good game. And Gainwell, the ageless one in our backfield, just helped carry us to victory, man. So still a lot of football left to be played. What I hope for at this time of the year is health. Hopefully we can get this quick win against Washington, put the division to bed, and then just be able to rest up and get healthy for the playoff push. From the mathematics, it looks like the winner of the NFC North is going to end up with the 1 seed unless they both lose a game coming down the stretch and we win out. Not sure exactly how the full mathematics breaks down with that. Um, but it is what it is. So we are going to end up playing that first weekend. Could end up being a rematch with Washington or whoever sneaks in to the 7 seed. Hard to be the same team 3 times in one season. So the road isn't getting easier at all. It's getting ready to get tougher.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And it's very true too. beat a team three times in a season is extremely difficult. I will attest, though, I vividly remember in the early 2000s, the St. Louis Rams at the time beat the Seahawks three times in one season, and including a heartbreaking playoff loss to the Seahawks. So it does happen. I've seen it with my own two eyes. But man, Tommy, thinking the Lions might be one and done, and they have to play better defense. If they can't shore up their defense a little bit, I don't think that they can reach their Super Bowl aspirations. As much as I love their offense, I mean, for giving up 40 plus points right now is unsustainable when you're trying to play the best teams in the league, including the Eagles, Vikings, Packers, etc. But man, what a crazy weekend of NFL football. And we got to be real. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Next weekend is a weekend of football that we've never experienced before as fans. And I can't believe how exciting it'll be. I'll have to listen to most of it from the radio. But, dog, like you were saying, Tennessee going to Ohio State, and amongst all the other fun games, boy, we got our first college football playoff and an NFL race to the finish. It's getting hot and heavy in these cold months.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be real fun. I know this was speculation that we used to always sit back and talk when we was in our 20s, 20 years ago. How fun would it be if they just had a playoff, 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 and just there were times where the BCS just gave some mind-boggling decisions, and thank God we are away from that, and we are getting what we want. 12 of the best teams in the nation are getting ready to go at it heads up. The matchup that I'm most looking for, just for shit talking purposes, is probably Tennessee, Ohio State. Uh, Ty lives with a native Ohioan, and it would be a great way to not have to hear that name mentioned again for 6 months if Tennessee gets the business done. I think that Notre Dame has a huge advantage over Indiana. Indiana is a great story. I just don't think they're ready for this level. The one that may shock people the most might be Clemson putting up a fight against the Texas Longhorns. As much as I can't stand Dabo Sweeney, being that my team is in the ACC with him, and just the way that those two championships made him think that he was on the same level with Saban is just ridiculous. But you are going against a coach who has been there and been through this before, and you are going against guys who are new to the dance. Texas was one and done last year in the tournament format, but it's just going to be great, man. It's going to be great football. Bowl season does get kicked off this week. If you're a degenerate like I am, you've been waiting for it for this moment for months, man. Good weeks of good week of good matchups coming up, and can't wait for it, man.
Dude, we're gonna get to finally see some underdogs take their big swings. We There was years where we always just wondered, could Boise State really take this thing all the way? We got SMU in the field now too, like you mentioned. Indiana, notoriously a basketball school. I think that they've been good one time in our entire lives. Antoine Randall L. Can't believe I could even pull that one, frankly, but that's how exciting he was.
That's
But
right.
man, we got some random ass teams in this thing, and that makes it really fun. Indy was saying just before we went live on this thing, Alabama fans are making him crazy. They be crying, they be complaining, and honestly, I kind of get where they're coming from. But this is where you got to handle business, and the committee spoke. You got to win football games, and I can respect that.
And it always been not if you lose, but when you lose and how you lose. And of all the teams in contention in the that upper epsilon, they had the worst looking loss at the worst possible time. If you are
Hmm.
Alabama, the thing that you could not have happen is go to Oklahoma, not only lose, but to lose in the fashion that you did
Hmm.
against a team that had been lost for gone all year long. You cannot lose that game in that situation in that form of manner. That's the last image that they get to see of you. Yeah, you beat Auburn in the Iron Bowl, but Auburn this year wasn't doing anything anyway. That game wasn't going to hold any merit. The lasting image they had of you was getting ramshot in Norman, Oklahoma, against a team that you shouldn't have been on the field to compete with you. So Alabama fans can shut the fuck up as far as I'm concerned.
Hmm. And for me, it's wide open too. This whole thing is wide open, and you said it. Y- You got to take care of business. And honestly, let's say Alabama win or loses, 24-20, 24-21. They might be in, but they went in there and got stopped by 21 points. They only scored 3 points against a team that was absolutely reeling, completely on the ropes. Recruits are dipping out. Rumors of coaches being fired. I mean, it's disarray in Norman, Oklahoma right now, and they got
Sure is.
absolutely stomped. So I think your point about when, where, and the circumstances do play a huge part into this thing. And then in terms of all of the wild card teams, all of them were two loss teams. The only team with more than two losses was Clemson, and they won their conference championship to get the automatic berth. And I do kind of like that, though, man. I do like that, and that only brings me back because in college basketball, it's so fun when a team that's had a lackluster season makes a dynamic charge in their conference tournament to just fuck up the entire bracket.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. March Madness is now translated to December Madness, and I, for one, can't wait. Let's go to the chat here real quick. Sunday evening media. I think the Eagles versus Bucks NFC Championship and Bills versus Broncos AFC Championship. That's a long stretch, homie. That's a very long stretch, but as long as you got the Eagles in it, I rock with you. Sunday evening media then comes back and says, in terms of college, I think we can see a strange thing happen and have a Georgia Arizona State natty. That's the one team we didn't mention is Arizona State, man. I mean, with all the teams who were getting all the love and all the pub in the Big 12, Arizona State just got on the field and did what you were supposed to, annihilate your competition, ran through their gauntlet, made Iowa State look ridiculous in the championship game, and Arizona State with the 4 seed, man, coming in strong, and they may be the team that's the most overlooked out of the top four the way
Hmm.
that it's coming out right now. Tommy fires back saying Arizona State will lose to Clemson. They aren't beating Texas or Oregon or Tennessee or Ohio State to get there. That's the beauty of this thing is it's going to be a chance to get played out, and someone's going to have to go through hell in order to get to play Arizona State, and then travel all the way across the country to have to do it as well too. Which to me, I don't know. I guess I do have to say it fair. Boise State was the higher seed, so Boise State should have gotten the Fiesta Bowl since geographically, as a higher seed, they should have had the bowl game if they were going to play in. That is the downside of having a Pac-12 representative. I'm sorry, the Big 12 representative finish in fourth place is they get shipped across, but it'll all rotate as well too. So when the Cotton Bowl becomes the option for the quarterfinal home game, maybe the Big 12 champion gets a little bit more of a geographically friendly matchup that way. But hell, let all hell break loose. I'm ready to see it, man. Ready to see it. Let's see if SMU can keep the stretch of James Franklin choking in big games going, and then they make it to the to the quarterfinals. That ought to be interesting, man. Can't wait. Can't wait for Friday night.
Well, for sure, I'd be lying if I said I was a starch SMU fan following all of their games closely. But their quarterback and their offense is fun as hell to watch. We know
It is.
Penn State's got a ferocious, dynamic defense. This is a matchup made for football fans. That's going to be freaking fun. And Sunday evening media saying the Arizona State Sun Devils playing with tons of heart. Y'all know if you got the time and haven't seen him, Cam Scatabo. Cam Scatabo has become one of my favorite players in college football. Watch 2.5 minutes of him on YouTube. He'll be one of your favorites also. Kind of a throwback hammerhead who also has great hands. He shouldn't have been the Heisman, but he should have gotten more love and consideration than he did. But I just want to remind people Arizona State was nationally picked to finish last. in a perceived weak Big 12. They were picked to be the worst in a weak conference. They said, nah, we ain't having that. So, congratulations to Arizona State. No matter how it finishes, that is a team that believed in themselves when nobody else did, and I freaking love it.
Yeah, man, got gotta love this time. It opens up for a lot of parity. In the future, we are going to see how the NIL has an effect on this because after the way that it played out this year, a lot of schools are going to start digging deep into the resources that they have in order to be able to compete. There's people who don't like it, but yet the same people who don't like it made Steve Jobs rich by buying 12 iPhones and go to Starbucks every day for coffee. So capitalism is the way, dog. Sorry. Sorry if you don't like it. It's just the way that things happen to move around here. The rich stay rich, and we do what we can to keep them in power, dog. So, yeah, it's going to get really interesting to see how it keeps moving forward. I just can't wait, man. Friday is going to be electric in South Bend. Hope that Indiana can put up a game and make it a little bit of a fight. This one does seem like the odds-on favorite should potentially roll, but man, can't wait. Can't wait to just see it, man. Can't wait to see it, man. It's gonna be fun.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Where's our guy Bart Scott at, man? Can't wait. I'm
Mariners
always go
lifer,
back to
man.
that.
Yes, sir. One of the greatest gifts of all time. Mariners lifer said, "Must spend money to make money." From your mouth to God's ears, and hopefully Stanton hears along the way too. Which gives us a good chance to translate, man. It's been going down in the MLB for a little bit that it has moved down. Not a whole lot of transactions have happened, but for the ones that have happened, 15 years, $765 million. The New York Mets get the number one free agent fish in the pond, and Juan Soto is just going from Bronx down to Queens, going down to left the terrace squad to go ride with G Unit and 50 Cent. Man, imagine that, dog. Imagine that. $765 million. Now in AAV, average annual value, Otani is still number one because his is 10 years, 700 million. So he is going to end up making 19 million more a year than Otani. But none of Soto's money was deferred.
Mm-mm.
None of Soto's money was deferred. So, and to still think that they are still making and being able to do more as well too. We would love for our ownership to think like that in Seattle. And I don't care what you say. You know you would. You know you would. There's some of you let Jerry Cook fans, yeah, we'll let him cook, but he ain't making prime rib like that. I'll tell you right now, boy. We just give us one type of player like that. But hey, pretenders pretend, and the big spinners going out to spin.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So, word on the street is in the Billionaires Boys Club, dude, is that MLB owners have their feathers ruffled over Steve Cohen and his signings. Well, good. I hope you get in your feelings, Mike Stanton. I hope guys like Fisher down in Oakland. I hope you get in your feelings about this. You should be embarrassed that another rich man like this is doing y'all like that. And there's a show Billions starring Paul Giamatti, and the character is loosely based on Steve Cohen. And he famously says, "If what's the point of having FU money if you don't say FU with it now and then?" And that's exactly what he did. Tay Williams, 15 years is crazy fucking long. Crazy long contract. Almost over 3/4 of $1 billion. But you know what? Steve Cohen doesn't give a shit about hurting your feelings. This guy is doing whatever he can to win a World Series while he's still alive. And you know what I truly love, RG, is the Yankees fans are all butthurt and crying, crying, crying about losing Juan Soto, while they're the ones that basically go and sign everyone they've ever wanted in the entire history of that franchise. So I just find it wonderful that the Yankees can't handle that they lost a superstar to another team.
One of the reports I was reading was there was a hang up in the deal because he wanted a luxury suite at Yankee Stadium. For the player that he is, that made the impact to your team that he made, to perform in the spots that he performed in, a luxury suite is really what made or break this deal? I mean, because in all actuality, they only offered him 5 million more dollars just to go to the south side of town. But if he wants a luxury deal, if he wants a luxury suite, go in there and take the one that Puffy used to pay for. He ain't gonna be able to use it. Find a way to get that man what he wants to be a part of your team. But could you imagine for those of us who don't live that kind of life, what it's like to hop a plane out to LA and have LA tell you they want to give you $600 million, then you fly back to New York and not only have one but two potential job interviews offer you 760 million fucking dollars, bro.
I mean, this is the largest contract in sports history right now.
Just mind boggling.
And I honestly didn't
Mind
think
boggling.
that someone would pass Otani this quickly. I thought it would take years of inflation for that to happen.
True. Absolutely true. But again, if we do go on and break it down, Otani still gets more annually a
Mm,
year than he will. But 15 years, I mean, they basically just gave out another Bobby Bonilla deal.
yeah. I mean, Cohan has never been afraid to ruffle feathers. He
No,
is incredibly hated on Wall Street, although respected. He is very hated on Wall Street. This is a business move for him, and honestly, I think it's smart if you have that sort of capital behind your business like that. He's just spreading the money out longer because the money's going to be there, and he might not even live long enough to see the end of Juan Soto's contract. But it allows them to make other moves, make other business propositions. It's crazy though, man, because now the pressure is on the New York Mets to really do some things. But holy shit, it is unbelievable. Over a $750 million. He's a
nuts,
W
man.
2 employee like you or me. He's a W 2 employee like you or me, and the motherfucker is getting over $750 million.
Promise marriage life, or I wouldn't do this, but I bet you I know who wants Soto if he has the right to vote for. I bet you I know who he voted for. Unreal. But shouts out to that man, man. That should just be a lesson to all of us. Never accept a penny less than what you're worth.
I mean, there's two ways to go about it. And we all thought he was crazy because he turned down $360 million or so from the Nationals. He only doubled that up, over doubled it up. So clearly he made the right move. It is a little risky though. There's no great business move doesn't come without risk. Julio Rodriguez might have made the best move for him because if he doesn't elevate to that legit perennial MVP player, then it'll be a really smart move. If he is that guy, then maybe he leaves some cheddar on the table. It just depends how risk averse a person is. But how crazy is that, man, to turn down over $300 million? People think you're crazy. Like, nah, man, I got this shit. Y'all were wrong.
Well, you know how it is. We talk shit about things that we don't understand, and also understanding how money truly works. There's a lot of us who would make a lot of moves for less, but just being in a position where you can bet on yourself and go out and perform at the level that it takes to be able to go and warrant this. He's here because he earned it. We talk all the time about how had the Mariners not have been cheap and pulled the trigger to try to get him when they could, what even his presence could even bring to the guy who we want to be our superstar in Julio. But when you put them side by side, Julio's not that. Julio could learn a lot from someone like Juan Soto. Being in his presence constantly could have done a lot for us. And we are hoping that he turns into even a fraction of what Soto is. But he's up there patient. He's willing to walk. There was I mean, it was hard. He was the hardest out in the playoffs. Next to Freddie Freeman, Soto was the hardest out in the playoffs. At the time that Judge Bat just disappeared, they make the World Series because of Soto and Stanton. Just believe in yourself, man. That's I don't know how else to break it down to you, man. Just believe in yourself and know your worth.
I like that. I like that. And you said it too, right there. From an investment standpoint, Juan Soto is the type of hitter to give that crazy 15-year contract to, because plate discipline, batting eye, approach, those will never leave you. And those sort of hitters have longer staying power than your general free swinger. So, from an investment standpoint, I think Juan Soto is a smart player to do that with, because the things he excels at, he can excel at later, even when his bat speed diminishes.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Shout out to Juan Soto. Moving on, now our next entrant in this. God damn. Money, one of the better pitchers in baseball. And I got to be honest, I'm a degenerate. I love betting this guy when he's on the mound just because you know you're going to get a good, consistent effort from him. He has been one of the best pitchers in baseball the last 5 years. Max Fried getting some of that money that they were trying to give to Soto, going to the Yankees 5 years, 281. 281, man. Life changing, bro. Life changing. I believe it's the highest contract for a left-handed pitcher or something like that. I was hearing.
Yeah,
It's
richest
just
lefty ever.
nuts, man. And that guy just goes out and works. Just goes out and works. Nothing flashy about him. No dance, no pumping his fist, no doing backflips up there, no talking. Just goes up there and works. And again, somebody respected your hustle and paying you for your value. Big shout out to Max Fried, man, and getting that contract. Like I said, I watch him all the time, man. I think he deserves it.
Yeah, that's a that's a big time move, and that's the one thing. If you're the Yankees, you might lose out on Soto, but that doesn't mean they can't make other moves. And of course, let's just keep it real here. Teams are making moves. The Mariners are sitting on the sideline. Mariners lifers asking about the Castillo trade talk, and then another huge move was the Red Sox just traded for Garrett Crochet this week,
Mhm.
and they might be out of the market for a top end starter now after that Crochet trade, and all the rumors were Castillo to Boston. I'm not sure who I want for Castillo. To be completely honest, I don't want to trade Castillo at all. There's still good enough free agents out there if the Mariners want to spend. Clearly, it seems that they're trying to shed payroll. At this point, I wouldn't even be mad if they made another Kellenic S trade where we traded a prospect just to get rid of some money in one of the Mitches. But that's just a bitch of a way to live. And you see these other teams getting at it. And I found a really interesting chart that I shared with my guy RG and super producer Indy. And the Mariners right now, they're top 10 in revenue, but they're bottom 10 in percentage of that spent on player payroll. So the Mariners legit are a top 10 in terms of making money, and they're bottom 10 in being cheap. We probably shouldn't get too hyped about what could be coming up.
I've been saying for the better part of a year, no matter how much we love our pitching staff with the way that our finances have been run, there's no way for us to get an impact bat that we need without being able to break off one of our starters. And the one with the most trade value that we have is Castillo. Do I want to see him gone? Absolutely not. Do I want to see any of our starters gone? Absolutely not. Do I want an impact bat that can help us finally get over the hump and get back to the tournament for more than just 1 year every 22? Absolutely. Not going to be able to have everything that I want. I'm going to have to be able to risk something in order to be able to get there. If it has to be Castillo, it's been nice. I appreciate you. Thank you. Get the fuck off the field and let's go get us a bat. But I might be in the minority of Mariner fans that feel that way, and I don't care. I want a bat. I don't even want an impact bat. I don't want another Josh Rojas who starts the year at 300 and then didn't hit 300 in the Little League games the rest of the year. I damn near don't want Luis Urias back on this team, a waste of $5 million. But we locked up so much money in some of these player friendly deals that we offered that we don't have any real maneuvering room. Do the one interesting move that we didn't get to talk about was Kyle Tucker finally getting out of our division, finally getting out of our division and heading to the NL Central with the Cubs, and the Cubs in return getting Isak Paredes. Um, they're going to have a third baseman now. So I don't know how that triggers what they are and will not do for Bregman. But for us to be able to get Bregman in, we're not going to be able to do the will and deal in January that Jerry's good at. We're going to need to have to offer that boy some money to be able to get there. I think that the risk is worth the reward. And if you tell me it's not, we were willing to take a risk. Well, we got thrown Gino in with the deal. So we got lucky that Gino got thrown in and we were able to have him. And yeah, Gino had a lot of strikeouts, but we talked with some stats that Ty gave out a couple weeks ago. Gino was one of the hottest hitters in baseball towards the end of the year last year, and we would have loved to have had his bat in the lineup. We need impact, and we're not going to be able to get it nickel and diming. We're going to have to give up some equity in order to be able to get there. Hate that it's
Mhm.
going to have to be Castillo. And I think then doesn't Castillo also have a no trade? Isn't he going to have to waive his no trade?
Yeah, exactly. You're correct on that.
Then that moves us down the list. So we might end up looking at losing someone like Kirby.
Mhm. The
But we
one thing
need
too about
impact.
Castillo is I think he would go to a winner though.
True, true. Maybe he would be willing to move it based upon situation. Sunday evening media, we need to call up some of the talent clogging up our farm system. I think so. I think so. I've been saying for 2 years now on this format, prospects are suspect until they get to the major league and perform. And you see what Houston has done. Houston was able to have a 10-year stretch where their high level prospects were able to come in, see what they were worth, get value, get rid of them, get other people in positions, ended up in another World Series, ended up in a couple World Series, won one of them. Just and we would have thought that they were going nowhere once they got rid of Springer and Correa. Um, their talent is now depleted in their farm system, and why can't we do some of that as well too? I completely agree with you, Sunday evening media. I don't know what it is we're holding on to. I don't know what it is that we're waiting for, but that time is near. And I'm not one of the 54 percenters who wants to give Jerry another 10 years. He's already had 10 years. Yes, he has done a great job of rebuilding our pitching. He has whiffed horribly on rebuilding our offense. I can't wait 10 more years to get this figured out. I'm 41 years old. Only God knows how long, how many breaths I have left. What are we waiting for? Pull the trigger. Some of those guys aren't worth everything. But again,
Okay.
you still got some of the fanboys who are still upset we got rid of Gerald Kelnick. Fuck that dude.
Yeah, he is basically just a replacement level player right now. And
Yes.
I don't know why people can't see otherwise. That's literally what he is right now. I could look
We
it
have
up
to make
right
something
now.
happen.
Josh Rojas is a better overall Major League Baseball player right now, and I don't see anyone get sad that we just let him go.
Not one bit.
I'm just saying.
Not one
So
fucking
here's
bit,
something
bro.
I want to piggyback though. This is strong evidence as to why the Mariners should trade a couple of top minor leaguers to get this thing rolling to open up the money we need because we can still make this happen. We have pieces to make shit happen. It's are they willing to move dudes or not? But all these dudes that love the prospects so much are pickle licking on Colt Emerson and Lazaro Montez. Colt Emerson hit 225 at fucking Everett. Lazaro Montez hit 260 at Everett. And these guys are supposedly, and I'm not going to discredit this, They're very highly acclaimed prospects, but under the radar middle infielder Michael Arroyo at Everett, who's only 20. This isn't an old guy in the minors. Michael Arroyo is only 20 and hit 290 with a 916 OPS. I think we could trade one of our guys that's more highly touted to get more value in said trade with another ball club and have Michael Arroyo as our secret weapon. Because as of right now, at only 20 years old, he is playing better baseball than the prospects with higher rankings on his own team.
Seems that he's trying not to make the risk that could eventually get him fired.
Oh, yeah.
But you're also not making your team better by not being willing to take those risks. So it is kind of a catch 22. But not making those risks could eventually get us passed up. The worst thing that we could hope for, the worst thing that can happen to us next year is the A's have a resurgence and Moreno wake up on that shit one day and just go start cutting checks.
Hmm.
That's the worst thing that could happen to us in the next 2 years. That window is not as wide open as it was 2 seasons ago. That window, for all intents and purposes, might be very well closed. And we just can't see it because we're still looking out on it with the glimmer of hope that they've promised us.
Hmm.
We have to be able to do something. We have to be able to make one jump, one time go all in at the table. Because you can't win the tournament just waiting for everybody else to bluff out because they have higher stacks than you do. For all you
And
poker
I
players
I
out
fully
there,
expect Texas to bounce back. I'm not
absolutely.
saying World Series champs, but Texas will be better next year. They were very injured and underperformed quite a bit. Texas will be better.
Absolutely. And maybe I just have PTSD from watching the Giants dynasty of the early 2010s, but every other year when it looked like the Giants won it and then fell apart, and it was, oh, that was a one hit wonder. Next season, they win it. Have another
Hmm.
season where they're come back next year and win it again, too. If that were to happen with us with Texas, that would just be the. We would be looking at another 20 years before we got back to the promised land.
Ugh, that makes me sick. That makes me sick.
Absolutely, because you really don't know what Houston is willing and not willing to do. Because
Hmm.
this is the first time that they've been in this position where they don't have the next guy coming up in the pipeline, so they haven't really had to go out and go do that, and they didn't have to give Correa and Springer that type of money because they had somebody else there. Now
Hmm.
they don't have that card of the deck, so we don't know what Houston may come out and may not be able to do. Only thing we can do is control what we do, and these backdoor deals for reacclimation projects is no longer the way for us to get it done.
Dude, give me Carlos Santana and give me Alex Bregman. I'm not gonna waver. Those are the two guys I want. And I
Yeah,
also think that's realistic. For the millionth time, we're not asking you to spend like the Mets or the Dodgers here. Give us 30 to 40 million more dollars and get us Alex Bregman and Carlos Santana, and I promise you could contend for a World Series.
yes, sir. Have you been on Bleacher recently to see some of the comments and themes that people are talking about? And it's
Not for a
always the
minute,
same
dude.
old shit.
And on,
And it's all
I've
it's
I
always the
even
same old
left my
shit.
Seahawks. I've left my Seahawks group in Facebook. I honestly have gotten fed up with people on social media. In terms of sports, I still love seeing pictures of my friends' kids. I like that sort of shit. But I've been leaving groups left and right because people be making me crazy about that, man.
Dude, it's always the same shit. This needs to be fixed. They shouldn't be allowed to spend like that. Dude, that's not how life works. That's not how life works. You don't choose to live in a bad neighborhood so you can save and maintain money. You live in the neighborhood you live in because that's what you're able to afford to be able to buy.
Mhm.
And once you're able to afford better, you move better. So why are you mad that this team is willing to go out and invest in their product and your owner isn't? Doesn't need to be fixed. Somebody in the equation needs to start being cheap. And we're calling you, John Stanton. Stop being cheap.
You
You
know what a
made your
salary cap
paper.
does? A salary cap helps the owners and hurts the players and hurts the hot dog vendors and hurts the beer man. A salary cap only helps the owners.
And with revenue sharing, there's a reason why Otani didn't get suspended throughout the whole course of the betting allegation thing, because they are making a major play to get major money coming from major overseas markets, especially the ones in Asia, to be able to take them to astronomical financial levels. And no, they're not going to suspend Otani when he's one of the players who are going to spearhead the baseball revolution in Asia as
Mhm.
far as major league content is going. These guys are going to have money. Don't think for 1 minute he can't afford it. He has it. He just don't want to spend it. So they tell you the crap that they've been telling you, and they've been making moves the way that they've been making moves to save a buck, so they could rather spend it. Because I guarantee you, they're not being frugal with what they're spending for the team, and I guarantee you, Jerry ain't living in no step down fucking apartment in fucking Tacoma. Guarantee, can guarantee you, can guarantee you that Stanton doesn't live in what's the one on the east side of the sound right before it turns back in? Bell something,
Bellevue.
Bellevue. He ain't living in Bellevue, I'll tell you that.
No, I'm
He
sure he
do.
lives in Bellevue is high society, dude.
That one's high society. I'll tell you, I stayed at a
I,
hotel over there in Bellevue, and that lady next door to us looked like she wasn't going nowhere. And that place was 99 a night. I know the hood when I see it. Yeah, man, they got it to spend. They got it to spend. Don't believe that they don't for one fucking minute. Don't believe they don't for one fucking minute. Put it back into your team.
ugh. It's been quiet for the Mariners. It really has been.
It's going to continue to be that way. It's going to continue to be that way until everything starts drawing up, and then we'll go get the best available out of the second batch.
Well, I'm disappointed, but I can't say I'm not surprised.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh man, my oh my is another sports podcast coming to you live each and every Sunday on the airways of YouTube. Also, don't forget to catch the recording if you can't be a part of the live show. Always dropping on Monday evening, Tuesday morning, wherever you get your favorite podcast from. Man, but it's getting hot, man. This is gonna good time, sports time of year. NFL is starting to wind down. We're starting to see who's real and who's not. College football playoff is kicking off. College basketball is about to start to get hot. NBA Cup is going on, and I don't know about you. I do happen to be a fan of what's going on. I kind of like the format, dog. I kind of like that it's giving some teams some reasons to have something to actually play for in the beginning of the year instead of getting mediocre basketball all the
Hmm.
way until we get to after the All Star break. It's been fun to watch.
Anything the NBA can do to add intensity to the season is a crucial business move. So, as much as I'm not a huge Adam Silver fan, the way the NBA media thinks he's the Jesus of all commissioners, which is completely asinine. Great job, Adam Silver. Great job. The NBA Cup was a great idea because the regular season desperately needed some juice, and it's provided that.
I only think he gets looked at as Jesus because the competition around him is very thin. Goodell, I'm telling you, Goodell looks like they could find any monkey with the brain to do his job. Good, anybody with half a business sense and the ability to show up to work on time can do Goodell's job. Manfred, only thing that Manfred has going for him is he's not Gary Bateman from the NHL.
Shit.
Absolutely, absolutely, man.
Well, I think we could agree by far the best commissioner is Dana White.
I might have to go Triple H, Paul Levesque with wrestling.
Interesting. I mean, there's some. We don't need to get too far into it, but because I haven't watched wrestling since Stone Cold and The Rock, but I can't believe how popular it is. It's on stations and networks and ESPN, the app, the way it never was when I was a youngster. So I gotta say, yeah. I mean, John Cena's a household name, and although I haven't watched wrestling in 20 to 25 years, it's the popularity is undeniable. I
Oh,
can't go
absolutely.
against that.
Now, I'm not into it the way I was to it in my 20s, and I have no problem saying in my 20s that was my favorite. That was my favorite thing in the world. I have easily invested 30 grand in a lifetime going to wrestling events, going to pay-per-views, traveling to go follow them. They are selling seats to pay-per-views that are more expensive than seats to the Super Bowl
Really?
and selling fucking out.
Wow.
For example, me and three homies went to WrestleMania 19 in Toronto, Canada. For three seats in the fifth row on the camera side, we paid $900 a piece for those seats. So $2,400.
Whoa.
$2,700. Sorry. $2,700 wouldn't even get you in the grandstands on the camera side for WrestleMania now.
Oh
Those are
wow.
$7,000 seats. WrestleMania is in April in Allegiant Stadium. Pull up a seat map on Ticketmaster and see how few of those $7,000 seats are available. And it's 6 months before the fucking show.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, you learn something new every day, man, and the drop of knowledge on me. You'll like this though. I was a senior in high school, and WrestleMania came to Safeco Field at the time, and I
Yes, it
went
did.
with like 8 friends, and it was probably like $70 or something like that.
Dude. So I take that back. The WrestleMania we went to was 18. The 19 was the one in Seattle.
Oh,
And
okay.
I had never been so angry that I wasted my WrestleMania budget going to Toronto when I could have gone to Safeco Field.
Dude, that card was insane too.
Dude, I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. But 18 might be the best WrestleMania that was ever had. So I'm okay with it. I'm absolutely okay with it. The card for 19 was great. The card for 18 is just Hogan and The Rock, man. Just can't beat that. Can't beat that. But yeah, man, they're making money hand over fist, bro. And
No shit.
there's a reason why the smartest man in business, his name is Ari Emanuel. We can, if you know, you know. There's a reason why he bought UFC and was able to buy WWE, combined them, and they're just out killing it right now. They're
Hmm.
just out killing it. And I can easily say it's probably easier to get a ticket to a UFC fight than it is WWE.
No shit. Wow.
Yes, sir. Sports knowledge. Sports knowledge, even if it is sports
Holy
entertainment.
smokes. If you smell what RG's cooking.
And I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. I even look at what we spent to go to the World Series. I had good seats for the World Series. Those good seats, those seats I bought for the World Series wouldn't be shit to get a seat for WrestleMania.
Crazy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, so we done talked about the ends. We done talked about the high flying Philadelphia Eagles rolling again. We talk about how the Seahawks just look to be batting practice hitters and can't hit when they're not in the cage. Man, you ought to feel bad. Even the Cowboys won today.
Oh, shit. Oh, even a blind man can't, or even a blind squirrel catches a nut. I'm losing my mind here. That was too
Bruh.
much disappointment and anger this evening. Sunday night should be less. I won't even say stressful because I was like, oh, this shit's over. You know it's bad if I start looking at my phone during a football game. That's when you know it's gotten
Absolutely.
out of control.
Absolutely, man.
Usually I'm locked in.
True. True, but hey, still some football to be played. Still interesting to get to see how it all plays out. Grab you your favorite vice and get ready to buckle in. It's gonna be pretty fun. Plus, plus we're now where we get some games on Saturday, and to even think the week after next we're gonna get games on Wednesday moving forward. Yeah, because then Christmas on a Wednesday. So
Oh,
yeah, we're
that's a
gonna get
good
some
point.
Wednesday football.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So it's gonna get real good, man. It's
We'll
gonna
see
get
how
real
what
good.
how much we can watch, man. Because with that shit on Netflix, oh boy.
That shit on Netflix. And you can definitely count me out when Beyonce gets on stage. I'm not willing to listen to any of that right now.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah. Getting dirty with it.
Oh
Oh
boy.
man, anything
I don't
else you
we
got
don't
for
need
the
to go down that one. Oh god. Oh man. Oh jeez. The
anything else you
things
got for
that
the
rich and
people?
powerful, I'm just gonna say this: the things that rich and powerful people think they can get away with, and most of the time they do.
Uh, I guess when a tree falls in the woods, it does make a noise, whether you're there to hear it or not. My man, Ty, anything else you got for the people?
Huge thanks to the live chat, and it's just great to have you back in the saddle, dog.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we'll have an off mic conversation about how my schedule just so happened to have me home this Sunday. But hey, man, any Sunday I'm home, we can hop on here live with the people who have been supporting us all year. We're absolutely grateful for it, man. We absolutely are. My oh my, it's another sports podcast brought to you by the good folks of Aiden Podcast Services, live on YouTube each and every Sunday. For those of you who aren't available to be with us live, don't forget the recording of these episodes drops every Monday night, Tuesday morning on whatever platform you like to get your favorite podcast from. Be sure to follow us on our socials at My Oh My ASP. We are on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, MySpace, OnlyFans. Give us $43 million. We might sleep with you too. Big shout, big shout out to our social media director, Katie Masamoto. She's gonna need your support this week because it's gonna be a tough week for her once Rocky Top gets to playing in Ohio Stadium all night on Saturday night. Man, a big shout out to our super producer, Indy, rocking the wheels of steel, helping us sound like $1,000,000. Please check out his music page on YouTube at Death to Indy. Interact with him, man. And always remember, send us a DM, send us a shout out. This show isn't anything without the people who follow it. And we would love to have each and some of you come live and be with us on Sundays when we do these recordings as well, too. Oh man, recording in Little Lake Stevens. That's your homie Ty Talks 24, Albuquerque, New Mexico's finest. I go by the name of that dude, RG. Big shout out and thank you for rocking with us each and every Sunday night for another episode of My Oh My. It's another sports podcast.